Hello everyone and welcome back to another market review. This is Silent. Today we're looking at the NASDAQ December contract for 2025. We're looking at the weekly chart. If you remember from the previous video, we were looking for a draw to potentially come up into the previous week's opening price, and depending on whether we rejected that off of that range or rallied through it would be our biggest indication of a draw on liquidity. So we attempted a rally up into this range and then pulled off of it so far this week. Looking indecisive so far and potentially leading into just an inside week. On the daily chart here, we are still extending those daily buy-side imbalance levels through, and so I have the premium and the discount constant encroachment of either side of this candle's wicks. My first expectation going into tomorrow would be to see price open and maybe put a wick as far as the upper half of this body and roll lower towards the discount constant encroachment level here from the daily. If we find strength immediately off of the open, we could potentially be drawing towards the premium constant encroachment wick. On the 4-hour chart, I just brought down those higher time frame levels. If you remember, we were looking for a draw up into the premium portion of the daily buy-side balance here and then a rejection from that range. So we deviated outside of the higher time frame levels and then drew back into it with a displacement lower, and we completely overlapped that buy-side balance here. After drawing lower into the lower daily buy-side balance, we quickly reversed off that low and then began drawing back up into this up close candle, which started that move off. So depending on the open here, if we rally up and then overtake this down close candle, we would be seeking buy side here and here. While staying heavy and immediately drawing down through the wick here, we could be seeing lower levels. We do not have to create a new extreme of a range outside of this. We could continue to consolidate for the rest of the week, and that is fine by me. On the 1-hour chart, I've only added the new week opening gaps, so you can see those respective levels here. As we opened and rallied, as we went into midnight, we did a shift below this up close candle with a displacement, and price drew down inside that new week opening gap. Spent a little bit of time in there, but placed no bodies in that range. We spent a couple of hours inside the higher daily fair value gap here, shaded in purple, and rallied back up towards the Asia range low here before rolling lower into the equilibrium from this price leg. On the 15-minute time frame, that's a little bit cleaner to see. If you remember, again, we wanted to see price attempt to rally, and if we folded back under inside the range with the displacement, we were looking for bearishness today. And that's exactly what we saw. Right after we opened in Asia, we created a displacement higher, and price dropped into that range twice. The second time that we overlapped the constant encroachment of this buy-side imbalance on the 15-minute chart was my indication of a inversion right here, and it just produced an explosive move as soon as midnight opened. We drew heavily towards the new week opening gap overnight, and then did a reversal right on the open at New York, and going into the afternoon we rallied and retested that new day opening gap there. Again, on these lower time frame levels, you can see how evident it is that a consolidation is underway. We're still inside the large down range from Friday, and all we did was simply swept the previous day's high as Asia opened and then drew back lower towards the previous day low. So we're continuously drawing up, taking out liquidity, and then drawing back into the range. And as we break lower below previous day ranges, shortly afterwards, hitting a discount array, we pull back up and reverse on top of short-term premium and create a reversal scenario back towards that higher time frame Friday equilibrium. On the 5-minute chart here, we had Jay Powell speaking at lunch, so a clear draw down through Asia. Midnight opens and drops below that higher daily buy-side imbalance. Leaves no gaps to retest in this range. The lowest gap here is retested and produces an accumulation for shorts in this area and sells off towards that lower buy-side imbalance. Every rally is sold off afterwards and continuously draws into that new weak opening gap like a magnet. And then as we go into the 10 o'clock time period, we have a strong reversal here, shifting above highs and reaccumulations. Had this buy-side imbalance here, rally, and then reaccumulation here. 2 stages of rallying into the new day opening gap and consolidation all the way into the close of the day and a sharp drop there. On the 1 minute time frame, we can see our first presentation fair value gap. As we drop down, price does not retest it as it's going lower. We leave it open completely. We rally up and then do a sharp drop lower, accumulate at the lows here, and rally above this short-term high. We can drag this over as a balanced price range here. Price accumulates at the high of our new week opening gap, and as we begin crossing through the first presentation fair value gap, you can be looking at buy signals here and taking a long towards that new day opening gap. As we open in the PM session, we get our first presentation fair value gap here, and price continuously draws higher and lower between that range and uses it as an equilibrium price point. Just before we close on the day, we drop below it and then retest it in this candle here, and then start selling off. It grinds lower and then a sharp decline. We retrace in 2 candles here and then another sharp drop. In the video that I uploaded, I was taking a long down in here because we were approaching this sell side liquidity and it was something I was targeting, but I wanted to see this fair value gap get tested first. So I took longs down here, exited as we entered this fair value gap, and I took a short and attempted to get a run under these lows, but it never happened. Alright, so that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you learned something. If you found anything insightful, leave a comment, and as always, like and subscribe. I'll see you all tomorrow.